not by dancing at rallies. Namibia cannot be transformed by only showing political slogans. But Namibia can only be transformed if we propel game changers ideas to the fore that would change the socio-economic trajectory of our republic and taking our people out of abject poverty and pushing back the frontiers of poverty and to take Namibia to a world-class nation. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm humbled, honored to be here. This year is a very interesting political year. It is the year that the opposition has the best chance ever to be able to break the two-third majority, for one. Two, we have the best chance of really bringing down the ruling party. Because the plethora of problems and ills and mismanagement and malfeasance of corruption that has eroded the credibility of governance in our country cannot be underestimated. But this afternoon, I want to speak about the story of the alternative. How do we view this country in a different light? What is it that we are going to do to make Namibia become a different country? I'm not here to tell you about the problems of the ruling party. Even my children, any child in Namibia knows that the ruling party has mismanaged and misgoverned this country, and they have run this economy down on its knees. We will not talk about what they have done wrong. We are going to talk about what is it that I, as your presidential candidate, will do to make sure that Namibia becomes a better place for you, for me, for our children, and for future generations of our country. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to launch a document called Strategy Namibia, an agenda for change, and a document that should transform our nation, Namibia. Now I want to start the story of Namibia by saying that if I'm elected the leader of your country, I pledge to provide free education from lower to upper primary level, whilst providing support to identified priority faculties at tertiary level. I will see to it that institutions of higher learning are built within regions to raise the quality of education at regional levels with greater emphasis on vocational training skills development and better trained teachers, as well as equipped facilities to capacitate our youth with jobs in the long term. I will further deepen our economic base by unlocking debt capital in rural areas and shall modernize agriculture and doubling the number of farmers by providing them with water infrastructure to secure robust production and food sustainability. I see myself as an effective and active transformational leader. I will ensure efficiency at every level of our government so that every Namibian is guaranteed a voice and can directly benefit from our development agenda. We are promising a lot of things, but we do not want to promise things that are undeliverable. What is it that the PDM is promising in Strategy Namibia? One, Namibia is a semi-arid country with a very dry country with only 3 perennial rivers on both ends of our country, namely the Zambezi River, Kunene, and the Orange River. We don't have any perennial river in the country. So we are a country that is dry. We are a country that is challenged by ecological climatic conditions. You cannot industrialize, mechanize agriculture effectively if you do not revolutionize water. PDM has an agenda to address water because our poverty, our underdevelopment is hinged on our climatic conditions, and it is hinged on the lack of water that we have. If we want to change this country, we must make sure that water becomes accessible to the people of our country. If we want to bring jobs in Namibia, we must make sure that we have an agricultural sector that is mechanized, that is modernized, that can be able to feed our own people. Today, as we are speaking, 29 years after independence, our economy is directly linked to South Africa. If South Africa closes its border for 2 weeks, Namibians will go hungry. What we need to do, and what PDM and I have, is to deliver a catapult revolution of water. Why? We will put 3 desalination plants. One on top of the Kunene River from the sea. Second one between Swakopmund and Wolfish Bay. The third one in Lüderitz. Why? We need to pump water into the country from the sea. Israel is a country that is 67% of that country is a desert. But in Israel, every vegetable, every fruit grows in that country, in a desert. Why? They have a shorter shoreline than ours. We have 1,500 kilometer shoreline. We have one of the biggest seas in the world. If we change our strategy and bring water from the sea into the hinterland, we will create the necessary jobs through agriculture. Between Aus and Lüderitz, we can be able to put 75,000 hectares of new grape farms because the climatic condition allows it. What lacks is the water. How many jobs can we not create between Aus and Lüderitz with grape farms? How many water can we not pump into the Kunene, into Musati, into Shikoto, up to the end of the country to make sure that agriculture would receive the necessary support? If you create the necessary infrastructural support to agriculture, you would create jobs, because agriculture has shown the world that with agriculture you have the largest employment sector. So we are going to revitalize the employment sector of agriculture by bringing water to families closer to their homes. The ruling party is praising themselves that apparently they have achieved potable water 95%, while we know many villages do not have water. But in this country, people go for 2.5 kilometers to go and get water. We will bring water taps at the doorsteps of our villages because they deserve to be treated fairly in their country. My friends, we will work very hard on energy. And those are the foundations of a country: water and energy. If you don't have energy, you can't effectively industrialize your country. Now, as a footnote, I want to tell you that we have a plan and we have an aspiration and a dream that our country has the potential of renewable energy, because we have 97% of the year Namibia has sun. We have wind, but we have not revolutionized solar energy. Everywhere in Europe, now in South America, and more so now in Eurasia and Indochina, people no longer rent their homes to make an extra income. They no longer rent their homes to make an extra income. They put solar panels on top of their homes. By putting solar panels on top of your home, excess energy would be sold back to the grid and you can be able to make an extra additional income. But solar energy can only be a catalyst if we start creating a made in Namibia solar panels. Under my leadership, I shall send students for a period of 4 years to Japan, South Korea, India, China, the Americas, and everywhere in the world. We shall be the first African country to produce our own solar panels, and we shall sell solar energy to the rest of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, let me briefly take you through the key policy interventions. Our cabinet is proposed as following. We are not only talking about how many ministers. We have a grand plan of knowing which ministries. I'm going to reduce the Namibian cabinet up to 50%, lesser than what it is currently. We are going to have 15 ministers only, 4 deputy ministers. Under my administration, we shall not have a vice president. We shall amend the constitution to do away with a deputy president and a deputy prime minister. It's a waste of resources and we can't afford it. We believe, and I believe, in a minimum government with maximum governance. So there's a big difference between a minimum government with maximum governance Hage's Geinkop's administration is a maximum government with a minimum governance. Mine will be a minimum government with a maximum governance. We shall have a Minister of International Relations. We shall have a Ministry of Defense. 2. We shall have 3, a Ministry of Finance and National Planning. We shall have a Ministry of Education, Science, Sports and Culture. 5, the Health Ministry, Gender and Social Services will become 1. 6, Home Affairs and National Security, that would include the police, will become 1 ministry. 7, Justice and Attorney General will become 1 ministry. 8, Agrarian, Water and Land Reform, Agriculture, Water and Land Reform shall become 1 ministry. 9, Environment, Tourism and Fisheries will become 1 ministry. 10, Housing, Local Government, Regional and Governance will become 1 ministry. 11, Mines and Energy, Works and Transport will become 1 ministry. 12, Trade, SME and Industry will become a ministry. 13, we are going to have a Ministry of Youth, but the youth will not be used just to bring votes. This ministry would be called Youth and Employment Creation. We shall give the power to the young people to charter their own course in this country. We shall create a Minister of Youth and Employment Creation. 14, we shall create a Ministry of Information, Research and Digital Economy in our country. 15, and very last, our last ministry would be Coordination, Evaluation and Implementation. Because most of the times governments do not coordinate their programs. They are not saving money on coordination. We shall be the first party to introduce a ministry of coordination, evaluation in the office of the Prime Minister. The 4 deputy ministers shall only deputize the following ministry. 1, there shall be a deputy minister of finance and economic planning. 2, there shall be a deputy minister of education, science, sports and culture. 3, there shall be a deputy minister for housing, local and regional governance. And 4, health, gender and social welfare. Those are the 4 deputy ministers that my administration shall create. Not these double deputy ministers that were created here under Harambee. Only 4 deputy ministers. And the reason why we have identified those 4 deputy ministers is because those areas are areas of great importance to the survival of our country. And we want double hands to be able to check those ministries.